have with us Siddharth Surana. He's a national level archer, high altitude trekker, as well as a founder of Agri Central. He's PGP-ABM from 2005 batch, and he's just received the Young Alumni Achievers Award in the Sports, Arts and Entertainment category yesterday. Welcome, Siddharth, and congratulations on the award.
Thank you, Swagata. Thanks a lot.
How does it feel to be back in the campus, and what does this award mean to you?
It definitely feels great to be back in campus. I'm coming here after maybe more than 10 years, and I think a lot of the things have changed, but a lot has remained the same, especially the spirit with which the campus welcomes you and the kind of warmth that we feel from even the current students and faculty and people like you. I think everyone has been receiving me very, very warmly, and that is something to look forward to again. And yeah, this award really means a lot. I think must have received quite a few awards in my life so far, but I think this is the one which I would cherish the most. This is really close to heart, especially when it comes from your alma mater, that too an institute of repute like IIMA. So I think this is something which I didn't even think that I will deserve, or I do deserve, but I think the institute has been kind. Also, a little jokingly, I told my batchmates, we have a very active WhatsApp group, and on that, when this news came, I told that out of the 3 words in this award, I like the young the most, because had it been 30 under 30 or one of those 40 under 40 awards, I didn't think I had a chance. Just because the institute very generously defines young as below 45, I made the cut. So yeah, I think young is something you don't get a second shot in life, right? Alumni I am, of course, for life. Achiever, if I'm not, I could be with some time and effort. But young is something you don't look back and you can't achieve it again in life. So yeah, jokes apart, I think, as I said, I very gratefully and very humbly received this award, and all my thanks to the institute.
And you have taken up archery, which is a difficult sport which requires a lot of practice. How did your interest in archery start?
Yeah, in fact, I have been a sports person, since very childhood, and I've been very outdoorsy person. So any sport, if anyone is playing in front of me, I would just try and join. Even right now, if there would be some kids playing with the bat and ball, I'll try and join them. So that is something which comes naturally to me. And in early days, I really played cricket a lot. In fact, till college level, I played serious cricket, and I also followed cricket a lot. I really was madly in love with that sport. But I think I had an injury sometime in my 4th year of college, and after that, it was a very nasty injury. I had meniscus tear and ligament rupture, and after that I was never the same, because I used to be a fast bowler, and you can't bowl fast when you had this knee injury. And by now I've had 3 operations on the same knee. But after that, there was a big gap, because IIMA you hardly get any time for sports, to be realistic. And after that, in corporate life, I just got sucked into it. And of course, I kept pursuing other interests like writing and theatre and all. But sometime, especially when I moved to Bangalore, earlier I used to be in Mumbai. So when I moved to Bangalore in 2018, in Bangalore you have a good sporting culture, and you see quite a few sport arena around you. So that's where I thought maybe I can restart, and I took up tennis as a sport. Again, tennis requires a lot of running and moving and all, twisting, turning. So it was getting hard on my knees. So I had to drop that. And then again, I got reminded of archery. Archery was something which I was kind of very much fascinated about, having read in those mythological scriptures, and the stories of warriors and all, how they shoot the bow and arrow, and something I really was in love with. And also, there was a book from an author called Paulo Coelho. It's called The Archer, in which he really in great detail describes. Some of them are not technically correct, but still, at that point of time, till the time I didn't knew more about archery, I was very fascinated by the way he described each of the movements of the archer, what goes on in the mind, how being very still they shoot the arrow, and the archer watching the flight of the arrow. And all that very emotional connect that he established also was imprinted on my mind, and I thought maybe I can start archery. And then I looked around, and I found one coach who is a national level archer, but when I went there, started practicing, he was not giving too much attention, and maybe it's because that he thought at this age, what's my future in this sport, and how long and how far can I go. But But later on, I learned that he's not really a great coach. He could be a good player, but yeah. Then I scouted for another archery academy, and I joined there. And I started in early 21, and the first tournament I played was in October 21 at state level Karnataka, and I didn't have even my equipment by then, and I was very reluctant, but the academy coaches pushed me onto it, and I borrowed their equipment, and I won the silver medal at Karnataka state level. And then again there was another state level tournament in the next year, February 22, where I again won a silver medal, and because of that I qualified for the national level. That's how my journey started. And
so just 3 years.
Yeah, just 3 years into the
Wow.
sport. Yeah.
And your category is veteran. So
Yeah,
what
yeah.
does that?
So veteran means anybody above 35 is a veteran.
Okay.
So you can participate in your category, which is veteran. You can also participate in senior category, which is typically above 19 to 34. And this is the kind of people who are in the peak of their prime, who are pursuing it as a very serious career option, and also physically they are much more stronger, and they can learn faster and all. So in national, in fact, of course, everyone knows now, at least at the campus, that I won that gold medal. But what I cherish the more is the bronze medal that I won at senior category, because the competition was much tougher, and I won a bronze there. And as a result, we also could get a team bronze medal. So I won 2 bronze and 1 gold in that one tournament.
That's incredible.
Thanks.
And you're not only a national level athlete, but you founded your own company. So how did that happen, and does being a sports person make you a better entrepreneur?
Yeah, first of all, athlete is a really big word. I still don't think I'm a qualified, true blue athlete. But yeah, I try to practice as much time as I can take out. And I think I've been lucky also at times in getting the results in my favor. But one thing I'm trying to is that, being regular at practice, and, to train as regularly as I can. I think, of course, managing it with with professional commitments as well as the family commitments is, of course, difficult, but it's manageable, right? Ultimately, it all boils down to priorities, right? And you can't be doing everything in life, so you have to drop a few things to make justice with the remaining things which you have prioritized for yourself in a better way, right? So, for example, I don't watch any TV, I don't binge watch any of these serials, series, Netflix, reels, right? And that really frees up a lot of time for me. Of course, I'm on social media on and off, but I really don't get too much sucked into that rabbit hole of digital media and these reels, videos, and all. And it frees up a lot of time for me. And of course, you have to manage your time. There would be time when you can really regularly practice, and there would be times when you have to complete a particular project, or something that is come up urgently. So you have to manage. But I think if you're committed enough to your passion, you will find a way. So that's how it's been. I think another part of your question was that how it makes me a better entrepreneur. I think with sport, one biggest fundamental for sport, or one big requisite for sports, is discipline, right? So you have to be self-disciplined in training, or in how you warm up, how do you cool down, whatever you do, right? And that I think gets also spilt over in whatever you do in life, and that really helps you to manage your time better, to look at the task and its demands, and how do you allocate to the team, how do you make sure that everyone delivers. The second benefit of sport is that it helps you, of course, relax, right? So you can completely switch off for those couple of hours that you are, say, training for archery or doing anything, and then you get refreshed and rejuvenated, right? So it helps you focus in a very fresh manner. And a lot of scientific studies have now proven that doing any physical sport or exercise really improves your cognition abilities also, and mental capacities also. So that's a bit of a science around it, but it's not because of the science that I'm pursuing. I'm just pursuing because of my passion. And yeah, I think another thing which it helps is that it helps you realize that ultimately you have to take responsibility for your actions, whatever you do or whatever you don't do. So an interesting quote comes to my mind, which is from a very renowned coach called Ki-Sik Lee. He's a Korean guy who coached the US national team, and he rebuilt the team and made it a world beaters. So I think he has written a lot of books, and he sometimes talk on YouTube and all. You'll find his talks. So just like Eklavya used to follow Dronacharya at a distance, I'm following this person because I'm not getting too much of coaching inputs. That's another sad part. Maybe we will cover it later. But yeah, I think. So one of his quote is that archery is a very honest sport. In many other sports, there's a big luck factor involved, and it's very difficult to separate luck from skill. You take cricket, football, any other sport, but archery, it's the minimal amount of luck that will interfere with your own actions and the result, and the result is immediate. As soon as you shoot the arrow, how it travels and where it goes on the target, you may lie to yourself that okay, there was some wind or equipment did not function or this or that happened, but ultimately the arrow doesn't lie, right? So if the arrows are going in the right place, which means you are doing it right, otherwise you have to introspect. So that has really helped me to just take responsibility and not look elsewhere for blame if anything goes wrong, and even if anything is going right, you need to analyze why it has gone right. Is it a fluke, or is it repeatable, consistently sustainable series of actions that you do? Because of that you are getting the results. So these few factors have helped.
And can you talk about Agri Central and its journey?
Yeah, Agri Central we started in 2018, and to start that only I moved from Mumbai to Bangalore. Right now it's a huge platform for farmers. It's a household name for farmers. Among farmers, we have close to 10.5 million farmers on our platform, whom we advise through various features on a mobile app. So we advise them about the weather conditions, inform them about the weather forecast. We tell them about the market prices around their area for their crops, so that they can sell better. We let them diagnose their crops pest and disease through AI. They can just take a picture of their crop and upload in the app, and we will give you the solution and diagnosis. So through that they can treat their crops. Also, we have something called crop plan, wherein anybody, like person like me who doesn't know anything about farming, can just follow that series of steps and hope to get a good yield at the end of it. So these are the features that we have. Apart from, we have a couple of other features like bulletin and farm voice, which is like a Facebook for farmers, through which we try and educate the farmers about the right cropping practices, try to lift up their yields, try to lift up their realized prices, and in the process helping farmers win. And I think we are headed for an exciting time ahead. We are going through some structuring or restructuring at our organization, and through which we would be starting a lot of transactions with the farmers. And we hope to unlock a lot of value for farmers and also to be able to monetize the platform. So yeah.
Good to know. And can you talk about your high altitude trekking interest and how you've covered a lot of these treks in Nepal and India?
Yeah. So that is again, I started late in life. In fact, the only trek before I did Everest Base Camp was a trek to Sinhagad in Pune, if you know, and and that was in 2010. But I huffed and puffed, and still I could not reach the peak, and it was not too difficult to trek. And after that, I thought, no, it's not for me. Till the time sometime in 22 itself. So 22 was a momentous year for me because I won that archery medals, and I also did the Everest Base Camp, and then I went to Indonesia and did those two volcanoes in a 24-hour span, which is a big deal. So so I think it got again. I had some interest, but of course I was never sure that how fit I am for that. And with each year, that you may not be as fit as you were the last year. So, but we have a colleague and who traveled from Chennai, and he is an avid tracker. And in the conversation, he was telling that I've done this track and that track, and now I want to do EBC. That's the holy grail of trekking, and that's the biggest track that you have. So I got somehow fascinated, and I said, okay, ट्रैक करना ही है तो सबसे बड़ा वाला कर लेते हैं कल हो ना हो so I just took the plunge. I had no idea what it would mean, and I trained for maybe about 3.5 months, and I just signed up for the track. I think I was half fit, you can say, for that track, and of course there were a lot of challenges if you are not fully up for it. But I think the track was really beautiful. You see so many high peaks around you, and my funda in life is that whatever you do adventurous in life, be it scuba diving or snorkeling or high altitude trekking, that if you see the beauty, you forget your fear, right? Till the time you don't see the beauty around, you will be afraid of what can go wrong, how can you slip, how can you fall down, you might get sick, you might get AMS, which is high altitude sickness and all that. But if you start seeing those high peaks, those snow-clad mountains and the views and vistas, you would forget your fear and then you'll start enjoying. So that has really helped. And yeah, so there I started, and now the next year I took my wife along to another track so that I can get easy approvals for further tracks. She knows what it means and what all goes on in track, and she also enjoyed. So last couple of years we have been doing at least one good track per year, and I hope to maybe increase it to two. Let's see how it goes. So I have those two competing interests, major trekking and archery, which compete with each other for my time. But yeah, I think it has again helped me a lot, trekking, in not even in terms of being aware of my own physical fitness, but when you're on the track, you do a lot of self-talk, right? Because a lot of the times you'll be walking very alone and solo, and a lot of things go on in your mind, and you can refine a lot of your thoughts. Just think through and then reach a place where you feel at rest. That really helps, and also it helps you discover your limits, how you cope with challenging situations. And in one of the tracks last year only we did Gomukh Tapovan. There we had the dust storm first. After that we had rock fall, and then we had snowstorm, rains, and then like 4 different elements hit us one after the other. And of course, when it was a rock fall section where a lot of boulders were falling from above, we were completely exposed, nowhere to hide, and how we navigated that particular stretch for about an hour's time. It was really scary. But somehow I thought that I can't give it up now here because kids were waiting at home, and we both were stuck into that, and we just managed to pass through. So it helps you discover some aspects of your personality, that how you cope in the times of distress. Yeah.
You have varied interests, from poetry, you've written a book on poems, you've acted in theatre, you are good at sports, you have your own enterprise. So how do you manage all these different interests?
Yeah, again, as I said, it's largely about priorities, right? And it's not that everything happens at once, right? For example, at one point of time, I was deeply involved in theatre, and I did that play called Beyond Hatamala. It's a Bengali play translated into English, and we had a group. We did about 15 shows in schools, and we did as a fundraiser. We didn't charge anything for that, but that was quite interesting. Right now, I have taken kind of a break from theatre. I'm focusing more on archery and the stuff that we have going on our startup side. I think it also helps that you have a lot of support system. I've been very fortunate that my family, as well as at workplace, I get a lot of support from my wife, who is very, very a kind person and generous in terms of letting me do what I want and supporting me, and my kids as well. So that helps. At workplace, my team members, they also have a lot of goodwill for me. They support me when we have to come together and finish something. So I think it helps that at times when I'm not there physically, and they can manage, right? And that's how we pull through. Again, I think if you manage your time well, you can do. And of course, as I said, not everything happens at the same time. So for example, writing is on a back burner for now for a long time. Maybe if I feel like something, I'll write again. So it happens that there will be cycles, that sometimes something will take over, and that's how it is. Yeah.
And we were going to discuss something about sports infrastructure in India and what can change, what needs to change so that sports can reform.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Yeah, I think one stark example we have in front of you is a performance in the Paris Olympics, right? And everybody had very high hopes, especially after the good show we had in Tokyo Olympics, but we performed subpar, to be very honest, and we had actually medal tally which is lower than the Tokyo one, and we actually had a lot of very near finishes, very close finishes, wherein we could have at least won a silver or a bronze, and we ended up winning nothing, right? At least 6 instances come to my mind, because I followed those Olympics very closely, and especially in archery again. So I think there are few things which can be done at very elite level. There's nothing much that you can do in terms of training and infrastructure, even in Olympic sport. Of course, there's a constant grudge that non-cricket sport take a back seat in India, and we don't give that much attention, which is true. But I think now we have a lot of corporate sponsorships happening, as well as the top scheme, Khelo India scheme, through which government is also supporting, and as well as private sector. For those who are already competing at international level, I think it's more about the mental aspects of the game, right? So how can you first qualify for semi-finals, then lose the semi-final, and again you have a bronze medal match and you lose that as well, very closely, right? So there's something mental which must be going wrong, especially in archery. I can see the archers and tell what must be going in their minds. Like we have a very good archer called Deepika Kumari, very senior archer, and almost in every big league she falters, especially when it comes to the country, like Olympics and all. And one can't fault her for her skill because she is a very gifted and talented archer, but what I can see is that some mental aspects need to be worked upon, and same goes for others in this sport as well as many other Olympic sports, right? So I think maybe a sports psychologist can be appointed, and some more intense psychological training should be given to the elite level archers, apart from the training and diet and other things. I think at grassroots levels, if you come, we are really not a sporting country. We are not a sporting nation. We are not athletic at all. Sad to say, but if you see, and even today's generation, they are spending a lot of time on social media and on screens. And yeah, I mean, of course, the parents are running around with classes one after the other, especially in any metro, you see there'll be so many classes and all. But I think that as a culture, we haven't still been able to inculcate the culture. I think a few things come to my mind. Of course, I'm not an expert in this area, but few commonsensical things come to my mind. One is that at school there should be a regular sport period, right? So I was reading some data points and I saw that less than 30% schools have regular sports period, right? Which should be a mandatory thing. Whatever sport you like, you can take up, and there should be maybe some grading for sport, which can be included in your score, your mark sheet. Also, I think there is a serious lack of the hard physical infrastructure like grounds and facilities that needs to be upgraded. Level of coaching is another big issue. So we don't really have good coaches. So there must be some rigorous training and certification for coaching itself, so that the kids who start up get good coaching, good technique. Otherwise, they won't progress much later in life, and it becomes very difficult to correct. As I learned myself, because archery being a motor skills game, I found it very difficult to begin with, because as you grow older, your different kind of muscles activate compared to the kids. So for example, in archery, you have to draw from your back, otherwise you will not retain the back tension. But as you grow older, our biceps become bigger, and you try to the same movement, but it will not be that consistent, right? So that's an example. So if one learns from the beginning itself the right way of doing things, it will help. The last thing I would think is that the kind of exposure the athletes get when they grow up to maybe 20, 21 or 25, they should get when they are about 15, 16, 17. For example, the exposure to international events, maybe coaching by foreign coaches or even Indian coaches, whoever is good. So those kind of things come later in life for our athletes, and in the process they must have already learned the bad ways of doing things, or the deficiencies that's there in the game. It's very difficult to correct later on, and those things can be improved if they are exposed to it early in life. Yeah.
And as a recipient of Young Alumni Achievers Award, what is your goal? What do you aim to achieve professionally and personally?
Yeah, while I really hold this award in very high esteem, I really did not have a goal, so to speak, of to get this award. So I think my mantra is that you just strive for excellence, right? And whatever happens after that, you take in your stride. And I've been fortunate to be recognized with this award and quite a few other recognitions. But that's not really the goal in life, right? And especially here on, since I'm already here, I think I can't really hope for anything better, at least from the institute side. But I think I just want to earn this award now fully, because I think I've been given in advance something which I have to earn now. So I'll try to be very cognizant of what I can give back to the community, especially the IIMA community or the students. So I'm already working with some of the profs. How can I come back to the campus and share some of my learnings, and whichever way I can. And personal level, I think the only way is to move forward. So I will try to become a better archer, maybe become a better tracker, and become a better human being in the process. So that's how I just want to keep striving for improvement.
Okay. Thank you so much for spending time with us and
Thank-
sharing your thoughts.
Thank you, Swagata.
Best of luck for the future.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.